Okay, let's talk buzzwords. If you're anywhere near the business world, you've definitely heard these two floating around: AI personas and digital twins. They are everywhere. But here's the thing. Most people are using them interchangeably, and that is a huge, costly mistake. So today, we are cutting through all that noise to give you the real story, the crucial differences that are going to save you a ton of time, money, and some major strategic headaches down the line.
So you might be sitting there thinking, come on, they're basically the same thing, just a different name, right? Well, I'm glad you're here because that's exactly the kind of thinking that could lead you to, say, base an entire multi-million-dollar strategy on completely the wrong customer insights. Yeah, it's that serious.
And right here, this quote, this is the key that unlocks this whole thing. It's kind of like this. Every square is a rectangle, right? But not every rectangle is a square. It's the same idea. By the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly what that means and why it's so important for your business.
All right, so to really nail this down, we have to start with the fundamentals. We're going to build a crystal clear definition for each one so you can see exactly where they're similar and, more importantly, where they are worlds apart. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
First up, the synthetic persona. Now, the most important word on this slide is archetype. A persona is not a real breathing person, not at all. It's more like a character sketch, a composite. Think of it as a suburban dad character in a movie. He's not a real specific dad. He's a blend of traits that represent a whole group of people.
So, when you're using a persona, your goal is really just exploration. You're asking a question like, what might a customer who is like this think about our new feature? All the focus is on that phrase, like this. You're dealing with a category, a type. It's fantastic for broad-stroke, what-if scenarios.
Okay, now, let's completely switch gears and talk about the digital twin. This is a whole different animal. Forget archetype, the key word here is replica. This is a behavioral simulation that's built on a mountain of data from one single actual person. We're talking their real interview transcripts, their real purchase history, every click they've made. It is deeply, deeply individual. And you see, that changes the question completely. With a digital twin, you're not exploring what someone might say. You're trying to predict what this specific customer is actually likely to do. The whole game shifts from broad exploration to pinpoint prediction. And that right there is the fundamental difference you have got to remember.
So we know what they are, but how do they actually get made? Let's pop the hood for a second. Because once you understand how they're constructed, their wildly different powers start to make perfect sense. You know, building a persona, it's mostly about being really clever with your prompts. You define a segment, maybe you add some personality traits to shape its tone, throw in some context, and boom, you're ready to go. The smarts live almost entirely within the big language model itself and that initial prompt you give it.
But building a digital twin? Whoa, that's a much heavier lift, way more data intensive. It uses really advanced methods. One is called RAG, which is basically like giving the AI an open book test, where the book is every single piece of data you have on that one person. Another is fine-tuning, which is like sending the AI to a specialized boot camp to learn the unique behavior of just that one individual. The intelligence here isn't just in the prompt. It is baked right into a custom-built model.
Okay, so we've got the what and the how covered. Let's move on to the most important part of all, the when. How in the world do you decide which of these powerful tools is the right one for the job you're trying to do? You're going to want to grab a persona when you're in those early, kind of messy stages of a project. You know, you're brainstorming new features, you want some quick and dirty feedback on a marketing idea, or you're just trying to get your entire team on the same page about who your customer even is. It's fast, it's directional, and it's perfect for low-stakes exploration. But when the stakes get high, that's when you need a digital twin. I mean, you wouldn't use a cocktail napkin sketch to build a skyscraper, right? Same thing here. We're talking about the big, high-impact decisions, like setting your entire pricing strategy or trying to predict if one of your biggest clients is about to leave you. If you have the data and you need to predict behavior with real accuracy, the digital twin is the only way to go. And just how accurate are we talking here? Get this, digital twins that are built from really deep interview data can hit over 85% accuracy in predicting how that real person will answer a totally new survey. So yeah, this isn't just a fun brainstorming tool, it's a serious predictive engine that can take a huge amount of risk out of your most critical decisions. So let's just boil this all down into a handy little cheat sheet. Early concept exploration, persona, all day long. But trying to predict if a key account is going to churn, a persona is completely out of its depth. You absolutely need a digital twin for that. Think of this as your go-to guide for making the right call every time.
So knowing the difference is the crucial first step. But even when you do, there are still some really common traps people fall into, and we need to think about where all of this is headed. So let's wrap up with these last few critical pieces.
Please, whatever you do, watch out for these 4 things. First, vendors who are calling their simple personas digital twins. Always ask, is this built on individual level data? If the answer is no, it's not a real twin. Second, and this is a big one, don't ever let these tools replace talking to actual humans. They're a supplement, not a substitute. Third, remember garbage in, garbage out. Biased data will give you biased results. And finally, be open with your team about which tool you're using so everyone understands its real strengths and its limitations.
And hey, on that point about bias, this is actually fascinating. The research shows that because digital twins are grounded in that deep, specific data from a real person, not just broad demographic buckets, they can actually reduce certain types of bias that tend to creep into these models. Now, they're not a perfect solution, but it's a measurable, important step in the right direction.
So where's this all going? Well, the smartest approach isn't going to be choosing one tool over the other. It's going to be a hybrid model. The really savvy teams will use personas for that fast, broad, early-stage brainstorming. And then they'll bring out the big guns, the more expensive, more accurate digital twins, for the high-stakes decisions that truly matter. So look, we've established that choosing the right tool is absolutely critical. But all that power is useless if you're pointing it in the wrong direction. And that leaves us with one last big thought. Now that you know which tool to use, are you really sure you're asking the right questions in the first place? Because the right tool answering the wrong question is still a recipe for disaster.